Hello and welcome to a new episode of my YouTube tutorial on how to create a classic Metroidvania game in Unity. In the last episodes we added a skeleton enemy to the game. We added a health system for both of the enemy and our player, and we added an attack movement to our player. What we are missing until now is the attack movement of the enemy, so the enemy can fight back when we attack him. So let's start for today and we go into our skeleton behavior script. So let us start with introducing new variables for our attack movement under a new header called attacks. We start with 3 floats in serialized fields with a range between 0 and 5 and 0 and 10. The first one is the attack range, the second one is the attack delay, and the third one is the attack cooldown. We add a float called attack duration and a float cooldown. Then we introduce the attack box. We will introduce a float called player distance, and we will introduce a serialized bool that is called ready to attack. In the next step we create a new function called attack. Within this attack function we check whether the attack duration is above 0. If this is the case, we calculate the attack duration with time delta time down until it's below 0. If that is the case, we set our attack box to false and our attack is over. In the second step of the attack function, we call an if statement asking whether the cooldown is over 0 and if the attack duration is below 0. If this is the case, we count down the cooldown variable. If the cooldown is equals or below 0, we set the ready to attack variable to true again, and our enemy can attack the player again. For the third step we need the variable player distance. For that we calculate here the difference between the position of our enemy and the position on the x-axis of our player. Using the player distance here in this if statement, we check whether the player is within the attack range of our enemy, and if the bool ready to attack is true, we therefore can attack our player. So first we set the animator on our game object enemy to set the trigger onto attack, so the attack animation will be played. At the second step we set the attack box to true, giving the enemy the damage, and then we set the attack duration to attack delay. That will later be counted down in the first if statement within the attack function. Then we also set the cooldown to attack cooldown, which will also be counted down in the next if statement within our attack function. And at last we set the ready to attack variable to false, so that the enemy cannot spam attacks in a high rate. I almost forgot, we have to call the attack function within our fixed update, so don't forget to add this here. So within our skeleton animation manager we can see that there is no attack animation yet. So let's change that. For adding an attack animation to our skeleton, let's go to sprites. Then let's go to enemies and let's go to the skeleton. Then you can see we already have a sprite for attack. select all the frames on the attack animation and drop them into the scene. We go to skeleton and to animations and save the new animation as attack animation. Then we go to animations and we go to our skeleton animations controller, and then we drag and drop the attack animation within here. Also, we have to set a trigger within our animation controller that is called attack. So let's go to the animation controller and create a new trigger, and we call this trigger attack. Then we make a new transition and we go to the transition, and we don't need exit time, but we need a new condition, and this condition is the trigger attack. So when we make a new transition back to the walk animation, and here we need the exit time, then we go back to the scene. What we are still missing is an attack box. For that we go to our skeleton object, we go to the skeleton, and below the skeleton we create an empty game object. We will call this attack box. Then we will add a box collider 2D onto that. We will enable the variable isTrigger, and then we will set the offset to, let's say, 2. We will increase the size and the X value and in the Y value, and then we will go to the skeleton object and we go to the inspector of the skeleton behavior script, and under the header of attacks you can see the variable for the attack box, and here we will drop the new created game object. Also, don't forget that when we creating the attack box we have to add the tag player attack. So let's try for a first time the attack mechanism of our enemy. I think we have to increase the size of the attack box, and maybe we also have to increase the attack range to, let's say, 3. Yeah, and you have to add a rigid body 2D to the attack box, and freeze the position for X and Y, and freeze the rotation. And I think we attached the wrong tag. I think we have to attach the enemy attack tag. So error occurred that leads to the wrong movement of the attack box, and we have to fix that now. And for that I will go and copy our variable attack box. We will use attack box point transform point position equals, and then we will use the enemy point transform point position, and I think this should work. The attack box is a little bit too early because the animation of the attack takes a while. So maybe let's find a way how we can ask for which frame we are in within the attack animation and activate the attack box at the correct frame. To integrate the new logic for checking the animation progress, we set you need the attack box set activate true line here anymore. Instead, we move upwards the script. We initialize an animator state info variable, and we ask the state info if the name of the played animation is attack animation. If this is the case, we calculate the animation progress, and if the animation progress is above 0.5 and below 0.6, then we set the attack box to activated. We activate the attack box, and if this isn't the case, we deactivate the attack box. And now it's working properly. You can see he's attacking, and it takes a while, and then we get a hurt. Now we don't get hurted anymore because we lost all our lives, but this is okay. So, thank you for watching this episode of my tutorial on how to create a classic Metroidvania game. And I hope I will see you again in the next episode, where we will create a game over screen. So, see you soon.